Good morning and welcome everybody. It's great to have you with us for this, the final webinar in our Brexit series that NSAI have been doing since September. So very welcome. My name is Deirdre Farrelly and I will be hosting today's session. We're going to be focusing on CE marking, as you all know, and what changes that you can expect post-Brexit. So we're joined this morning by our panelist Mary White from NSAI's Brexit Unit. And we also have Marcella Rudden, Head of Enterprise with the local enterprise office in Cavan. And thank you both for being with us this morning, ladies. We're looking forward to hearing what you have to say. So we're going to talk exactly about what the CE mark is and what you need to know, whether you're a manufacturer, whether you're an importer or a distributor. And we'll also be running through all the different resources that are available to you. And we'll do that over the next 45 minutes or so. So to give you a quick run through of this morning's agenda, we're going to start by hearing from Mary, and after that we'll hear from Marcella, and then in the final 15 minutes or so we're going to have a Q&A session. So at this stage, just to let you know, please feel free, we love to hear from all our participants, so feel free to put any questions that you have into the chat and we'll do our very best to deal with those afterwards. So let's hand over to Mary first. Thanks, Mary. If you want to share your screen with us. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us here today. Well, I'm going to talk on what you need to know about CE marking products if you're a manufacturer, importer, or distributor, and I want to give you an understanding of what is CE marking, which is a symbol applied to products to indicate that they conform to the relevant EU directive and regulation regarding health and safety. I'm going to cover what needs to be CE marked, who are the notified bodies, and come January, what adjustments you as manufacturers, importers and distributors will have to make if you wish to buy and sell products in the EU, Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Now, I may not have all the answers to your questions as the FTA talks are still in progress. And finally, I will outline what steps you should now be taking to be Brexit ready. Sorry, just hold on there a minute. To be Brexit ready. And Marcella will then talk about what supports are available for your business. But first, I would like to give some background information. So where are we in the Brexit process? On the 17th of October in 2019, the EU and the UK reached agreement on the withdrawal agreement, which included a separate protocol on Ireland, Northern Ireland. On the 31st of January this year, the UK formally left the EU and we entered a transition period during which EU rules continue to apply in the UK as if they were a member state. As you will have seen on the news, negotiations on the future partnership will continue into next month. So the protocol protects the Good Friday Agreement, North-South cooperation and the all-island economy. It will have a large impact on the trade of Ireland when it comes into effect on the 1st of January. It avoids the needs for a hard border on the island of Ireland, and it will protect Ireland's place in the EU single market and customs union. EU product legislation will continue to apply in Northern Ireland. It means that goods moving to and from Northern Ireland will largely continue to do so with no significant changes. Now, the protocol includes a new mark specifically for the Northern Ireland manufacturers who do not want to CE mark the products for the EU, but who still want to sell in Northern Ireland. They are the normal EU product certification marks with extra wording UK NI added. To get the mark, products must meet the requirements of the EU relevant directive products regulation, including using harmonised standards where required. The exact details of how this will work are still being worked out by the Special Committee on the Protocol. So any products bearing the new mark cannot be placed on the EU market. So here now are some examples of products that require CE marking: toys, mobile phones, and in smart technology, we've got the smoke alarm, electrical socket with a USB port, and your electric charger. Now, how the system works within the EU is that the EU drafts a regulation and a directive which break down barriers to trade to facilitate the free movement of products to trade. So the obligations and responsibility are with the manufacturer, the importer, and the distributor. The standards and technical specifications, well, they show you how they meet these requirements. So if it's a mandatory, you must use harmonized standards, and voluntary, you can use technical specifications. In the third instance, you must decide, do I have to self-certify or do I have to be certified by a third-party certification? So third-party certification, that demonstrates that your product meets the requirements of the regulation directive where required. And to facilitate this, there's an agreed framework of notified bodies. Finally, once the declaration of conformity has been drawn up, the manufacturer must affix a CE marking to the product, and CE marking enables a product to be placed legally on the market in an EU member state and then be traded on the EU single market, whether the product is manufactured inside or outside of the EU. Finally, we must have market surveillance. So this checks to ensure that products placed on the market comply with the requirements of the regulation and directive. In terms of regulation and directives, there are 32 different pieces of EU legislation covering manufactured products currently in force. 10 of these are regulations and 22 are directives. Now, it is worth noting that in January 2021, the EU or the UK will have a similar UK law coming into force to the current EU legislation. What they don't say is whether they will update this legislation when the EU amends its legislation. So currently there are several directives under review, including the Machinery Directive. The UK will not be obliged to update their legislation as they will not be bound to EU rules, hence there will be divergence. In Ireland, there are 16 notified bodies who do conformity assessments to 11 directives and regulation. And if you want more details on EU legislation, they can be found on the NSAI website in the Brexit Portal series on EU product legislation, 3 specific areas for construction, electrical equipment and medical devices. Now, there are 6 main stages to CE marking, and we will briefly examine each of them. In most cases, with the exception of construction, products do not have to be tested to the European standard to be placed on the market. However, compliance with the European standard is a way of demonstrating compliance with the regulations. Ultimately, you, the economic operator, must comply with the regulation, not the standard. So in the first instance, you must identify the applicable directive. Then you check out the specific requirements that's required there, what standards it may have to work to. You then have to decide, do I need to self-certify or do I need third-party certification? And there are different modules for this. So module A would be normally associated with self-certification. And then you may need to contact a notified body for third-party certification. You then have to test the product to check conformity. That could be for an INAB test lab or a UCAS test lab. And then you must compile this technical documentation. And finally, you then have your declaration of conformity and you're able to attach your conformity mark. So I'm now going to just briefly talk to you about the EU Declaration of Conformity, a very important document. This is a legal document drawn up by the manufacturer or their authorized representative, if mandated to do so by the manufacturer. So here are 2 examples of industrial products: an electrical socket with a USB connector and a smoke alarm. These products must contain all the information set out in the relevant legislation. These normally include the contact details of the manufacturer, the contact details of any authorized representative, the details of any notified body used in product certification, including the notified body number, the EU legislation which applies to the product, any harmonized standards used to assess the conformity of the product, and all other relevant technical information. Where a product is covered by more than one piece of legislation, you only draw up one declaration which should reference all the legislation and their requirements. For example, a smoke alarm must comply with 3 directives: low voltage, EMC and RED. Under the construction products regulation, you draw up a declaration of performance rather than a declaration of conformity. And the declaration of performance contains similar information and fulfills the same role. So how the system works, I've got 3 examples for you here to put this into practice. Firstly, we look at the socket with the USB connector. Here, the directive regulation that it must work under is the low voltage directive and the EMC directive. There are standards and technical specifications for this. So for the standard for the socket is the BS 1363 Part 2. And then because you've got the USB connector, you must comply with standards as laid down in the EMC directive. You do require third-party certification. You then affix, you create your declaration of conformity and affix the CE mark, and market surveillance is carried out by the CCPC and the Commission for Communication Regulation. An example number 2 is personal protective medical device face mask, and the regulation that this comes under is the Personal Protective Equipment Directive of 2016. There are 2 European standards that you must follow, which is EN 149 and 14683. They require third-party certification and, yes, a declaration of conformity. And the market surveillance authorities here are the HSA and CCPC. Now, in terms of our smoke alarm, there are 3 directives here, but the radio equipment directive trumps the other 2, which would be the low voltage and the EMC. So you only need 1 declaration of conformance here, and the standards must comply with EMC and RED directives. And the market surveillance people responsible for this would be the Commission for Communications Regulation, otherwise known as ComReg. Now, last week, here is an example of a properly medical face mask which was manufactured in France and has now been placed on the market. And I took these pictures last week in a Dublin hospital. So the picture on the left is the unused mask in its sterilized packaging. And the picture on the right is the label on the box of medical device masks, which were placed on the market in July 2020. Here you will see in green, the notified number is 0082, and that refers to APAV Sud Europe in Marseille, and they are the notified body to Regulation 425. The standards are marked very clearly here, 149 and 14683, and then the CE mark is applied to that. You may have some questions, and these are common questions that we are asked that I'd like to share with you. So if I buy a component that's CE marked and I buy a second component CE marked that I need for my finished product, does that mean that the product is CE marked? Well, the answer is yes. No, it's not. But yes, you do need to certify the finished product. Another question is, what EU rules will apply to products which are not CE marked? Well, all products placed on the EU market must comply with the General Product Safety Directive 2001. And under this directive, a product is safe if it meets all statutory safety requirements under European or national law. And goods which are not covered by specific EU regulations or standard that are not CE marked, for example, a socket with no USB connector, then you would use this particular standard. And compliance with these products is normally determined according to other reference documents such as national standards, Commission regulation, and code of practice. I'm now going to talk to you about notified bodies. So a notified body, that is where you are requiring this for third-party certification, is an independent organisation that is designated by an EU member state to assess the conformity of certain products before being placed on the market. And what is their role? Well, the role is to conduct a conformity assessment under the relevant EU directive and regulation. And the conformity assessment usually involves an audit of the manufacturer's quality systems. Notified bodies must be accredited by the national accreditation body in the member state in which they are established to EU Regulation 765 of 2008, which covers accreditation and market surveillance. And a list of all these notified bodies are on the EU NANDO website, and there are 1,500 notified bodies currently. So here is a little EU roadmap regarding the players involved and their roles and responsibilities in each member state, and in this case, Ireland. So in Ireland, the notifying authorities would report into the EU when a notified body has been approved by the accreditation body, normally INAB for most products, and for medical devices, it would be HPRA. Here are a list of the 16 notified bodies in Ireland. 2 years ago, there were only 3. And we also have 3 technical assessment bodies for the construction products regulation. Finally, we have all of these organisations here, government agencies for market surveillance authorities. I'm now going to talk to you about the current legislation, terminology and marks in connection with CE marking. So as I stated earlier, even though Great Britain and Northern Ireland have left the EU legislation and rules still apply. So harmonised standards still apply. The UK notified bodies can still CE mark products until the end of the year, and this is the mark that must be used. This changes in terms of Great Britain. The UK, like I said, they're going to transpose EU law into UK law. And the one that is related to the Regulation 765 is the UK Draft Statutory Instrument for Product and Safety Metrology Amendment. That will come into force on the 1st of January. They won't use the word harmonised standards. They will use the term designated standards. All of their current 167 notified bodies will automatically become approved bodies in the UK, and their mark will become the UKCA mark. Now, these are all new. In terms of Northern Ireland, as I mentioned earlier, EU rules still apply in Northern Ireland for product certification. So what is new is the new CE UK NI mark and the UKCA mark. So as I mentioned previously, the NAI mark is only for manufacturers in Northern Ireland. Now, the NAI mark I will discuss at a later stage. So what mark must I use? Well, up until December of this year, the CE mark can be used both in the UK and in the UK and the EU. And from January the 21st, what mark must I use? Well, if you're in the EU, you're still using the CE mark. If you're in Northern Ireland, you still use the CE mark. Then there's the introduction of the CE UK NI mark. And then finally, we have the GB UKCA mark. But that is fine. But then after the December 2021, because the UK on the 1st of September stated that there's going to be a transition period for industrial products, you can still use the CE mark until placing products on the UK market until the end of 2021. And for medical devices, this will be until the 30th of June, 2023. So you will no longer then, from January 2022, be able to use the CE mark if you are placing your products on the UK market. So buying products from Northern Ireland. Well, the protocol for Northern Ireland mark for manufacturers who do not want to CE mark their products for the EU, but who still want to sell in Northern Ireland, they are still the normal EU product certification marks with the identification, as I mentioned, of the UK NI mark. Now, the protocol means that the Northern Ireland will follow different rules to Great Britain from January the 1st, which means that they will have to be certified by an EU notified body or a technical assessment board where required by the CPR. And they will have to have an EU declaration of performance, and products marked with the CENI mark cannot be placed, and I must repeat this, cannot be placed on the EU market, so they cannot be sold in Ireland. Now, goods for UK conformity assessment, these are used for goods being placed on the GB market, which is England, Scotland and Wales. The UK CE mark will replace the CE mark for construction products on the Great Britain market, and you'll need to produce a UK declaration of performance. This is very important. It's their declaration of performance. And as I mentioned, there will be a transition period for 1 year. So you should be preparing for the changes from the 1st of January. Your GB customers will become importers under UK law, and they must be able to access a copy of your technical file when requested to do so by UK market surveillance authorities. And you should prepare this information in a format that can access as soon as possible. But a word of warning, this may change. And more information on this can be found on the UK government website. So now, what can I do right now to minimize disruption? Well, first of all, check your supply chain and make changes if necessary. Certification, if you use a UK notified body, transfer your certification to an EU 27 notified body now. Customs, from customs purposes, register for an EORI number with revenue commissioners. For information, you need to get this information you will need as an importer from your UK suppliers, and arrange for transport to and from Europe. One of my, I suppose now, a couple of other areas that I need to talk to you about is when you need to prepare is for pallets and crates. So ISPM 15 is a UN agreement that sets down standards for wood packaging material used in international trade. It is there to prevent the spread of pests and diseases. It is given an effect in law through Regulation 2016 of 2031, and under the regulation, all pallets must be treated to kill the pests and diseases and marked with this mark. Under the regulation, the ISPM does not generally apply to wood packaging material in intra-union trade, but it does apply to trade with third countries, as in the UK. This means that the pallets used for product imported from Great Britain will have to be marked or they will be rejected. And there are over 100 million pallets in the UK market. It will also apply to products moving from Ireland to Great Britain. Make sure you only use an ISPM compliant pallet when sending products across the Irish Sea. And this is controlled here by the Department of Agriculture and NSAI. We certified 15 Irish manufacturing pallet companies. But the regulation 2016 will continue to apply in Northern Ireland. You can continue to use pallets as you have currently used. Now, finally, further information, I'm sure your heads must be spinning now, but you can check out our website where we have fact sheets and frequently asked questions. The Government of Ireland has a readiness programme that they launched on the 9th of September. Within the EU, there are documents here, which is the Blue Guide, which covers all of the various directives and regulations, with the exception of the Construction Products Regulation, and then the latest information on CE marking from the UK. From the EU, I beg your pardon. And finally, keep an eye out on the uk.gov website. It has changes taking place on a daily basis. And for your own safety, please contact Revenue for if you want further information on EORI numbers. Thank you very much, and I'll hand you back to Dee.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Mary. If you wouldn't mind, yeah, you've stopped sharing. That's perfect. Some really good detail there, Mary. And just at this juncture, I want to tell all our participants, I know some of you probably arrived in a little bit late, that both the slide presentations will be made available tomorrow. So they will, everybody who's attending today will get an email tomorrow with both Mary and Marcella's slides. So Marcella, I'll hand over to you now.
Okay, thank you.
You want to share your screen there?
I'll share my screen. Can you see that there?
Yeah, that looks perfect. Yeah. Thanks, Marcella.
Okay, great. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Deirdre, and thank you, Mary, for inviting me to participate in the webinar this morning. Mary's presentation was excellent and very detailed, and I suppose ultimately what I'm just going to briefly do is kind of run through some of the supports. Some of you will be familiar with those supports already, but just to, I suppose, to try and get a handle on what supports is available. And I've very purposefully said immediate supports. So these are supports that are available now and that you can access quite quickly. There are other supports across all the different agencies that you could support. It may take a little bit longer, but I think at this moment in time, I'll talk about the LEOs first, and some from Enterprise Ireland, and then Intertrade Ireland and SkillNet Ireland. And also to say I have a slide with all the links, which is very important, which Deirdre will circulate in the presentation tomorrow. So the first thing from the local enterprise office, some of you probably have been in contact with your LEO already, or you may be an existing client of Enterprise Ireland, so you may be more than familiar with some of those. But for those of you that haven't, the Brexit mentors and advisors, all of the LEOs have panels of mentors anyway, and it's one of the core supports that the local enterprise offices provide. So just Mary was talking about the CE marking. We would assist a lot of clients with mentoring with regard to CE marking, particularly for those that are CE marking a product for the first time and developing a new product. So if you are looking for some guidance or assistance, particularly in the CE marking area, do talk to your local enterprise office, because most of us, nearly everybody would have a mentor that's familiar with that entire process. So it is a very good support support there if you haven't availed of it already in your dealings with the local enterprise office. We have Brexit advisors there. This is free, it's of no cost. So I would advise you to contact your local LEO, and the Brexit mentors or advisors can really talk to you about any number of areas to try and help you prepare for Brexit. And it's really important to kind of make that initial call to us if you haven't done any preparation or you really don't know where to start. Extremely advisable to do that. One of the key things, I suppose, that most people are looking at the minute is the whole area of customs. All the local enterprise offices are running Prepare Your Business for Customs training. Now, this is training that was being run earlier this year, and obviously with COVID that ceased. All of those training programs are back up and running again. I'll give you the link in one of my next slides, but all local enterprise offices are running these training programs, and it's a matter of just going. They're all done virtually, so you can go into the website and log on to any of the ones that suits you. So it doesn't have to be one that we're running here in Cavan. It can be one that's been run in another area because they're all virtual. But there is a website that gives you details of all those dates. So if you haven't done that already, please do log on, and they're running on a regular basis now over the coming weeks. I'll mention further down, there are other customs training web courses that are running as well, but I suppose each of them will give you the information that you need, but some may be a little bit more detailed than others. It depends whether you're already familiar with customs or whether you have that capability or capacity to do it in-house. I suppose the number one thing is, if you are not engaging a customs agent, then you have to do this in-house. You have to have that capability in-house, which means training somebody internally to do that. And I'll talk a little bit about the support that's available from EI to help you do that. The Lean for Micro program, I'll talk about this in a little bit more detail in another slide. This is an excellent support that the local enterprise offices have. And the Lean for Micro is a program that you can avail of that really would look at your entire business, particularly in the context of Brexit. Now, you can look at it for other areas of your business, but I'll just talk about that when I move on to the next slide. Enterprise Ireland, some of you may be clients of Enterprise Ireland already. If you are, then you're being more than supported a lot through a lot of their supports and the very good supports they have. If you not, these are two supports that are available for someone who isn't an EI client, so anyone can apply for these. The Customs Insights course, again, that's an online course that you can just log into. The Ready for Customs grant was only announced recently in September, and this is a financial support. So you can apply for up to €9,000 towards the cost of recruiting somebody internally within your business to manage customs for you going forward from the 1st of January. As we all know, it has to be done. You have to have somebody that's capable of doing that in-house. If you haven't got a customs agents are going to be very much high in demand. A lot of companies are finding it difficult to access a customs agent. So if you want to train somebody up in-house and either recruit somebody externally or maybe redeploy someone within your business to take over that role from the 1st of January, you can apply for some support. It's up to €9,000 for a full-time person. It's $4,500 if that person is part-time. The full-time, they would designate that as probably 28 hours, at least 28 hours or more. The part-time would be between 14 and 28 hours a week. There would be an expectation that you would backfill that position if you kind of reassigned or redeployed someone within your organization to take over that role. But it really is an excellent support. It covers the costs of the recruitment, the employment costs, and IT infrastructure. As anyone knows that's done kind of the training already, you will need specific software that talks to the revenue systems, and they obviously have a new system coming on stream in November, and that will need to be internally embedded within your organization, and you will need to be able to use that, and somebody will have to be trained to use that. So I will give the link to the EI website. You'll see the further terms and conditions there. It's very detailed. But if you are directly engaged in business in the UK, or obviously if you're in the haulage or logistics or transport business, then that Ready for Customs grant is open to everybody. It is closed. The closing date is the 15th of December, and there is a limit. There's a fund, I think, of €20 million. So I would advise everyone to take a look at that if you think that will allow you to handle that customs task in-house. Intertrade Ireland still have their Be Prepared planning voucher. Intertrade Ireland is an all-Ireland agency, north and south, and they provide a lot of different supports, business supports. in terms of Brexit. They have a Brexit advisory service, but this planning voucher is still open and anyone can apply. It's a very simple process. The application is online, but it allows you to get some consultancy support up to the value of €2,500 to prepare specifically for Brexit. So certainly if you want to check that out and you're looking for somebody that might do some in-depth work for you in terms of preparing for Brexit, the Intertrade Ireland planning voucher and their website is very good, and there's a lot of good information on that website. The tariff checker, they also have a tariff checker there as well, which is free to access, so certainly worth checking out. SkillNet Ireland have also been running clear customs training. It's free, it's online, and I know a lot of businesses have been training staff on that particular training program which is running. So, you know, between the EI and SkillNet and the LEOs, you know, there are plenty of customs training course there that you can access now, and they're of no cost to you. So please do, if you haven't done so already, please do go ahead and register for one of those programs. The Lean for Micro, I suppose this is a very particular support which the LEOs have been offering, and a lot of businesses have availed of this in the context of Brexit. As I said, if you're working with Enterprise Ireland, you would be more than familiar with the Lean programs. This program was I suppose this offering was adapted from the EI offering for our LEO clients. So, and essentially you can get up to 5.5 consultancy days over a 6 to 8 week period. The value of it is actually €5,000, but all you will pay is €350. And I suppose the key thing about this support is that it can look at your entire business operations, your processes, and the different tools and techniques. It's project based. So it means if you have a particular project within your business that you want to get a team of people within your organization to get involved in, but you're looking to embed a new process that will make you obviously more competitive and build your capability within your business, particularly in the context of Brexit going forward. Lean is an excellent offering there, and it's available to companies that have more than 10 employees and across most sectors. If you're an EI client, you'll avail of it through there. So certainly one you should talk to your local enterprise office if it's something you're looking at, particularly maybe in the area of diversification or trying to your operations become more lean over a period of time. The consultants are very experienced. They're on an approved panel. And I think even from a CE marking, if you're looking at maybe your products already, and maybe that's part of a bigger project within your organization that you would like to look at. So I really beneficial support by the local enterprise offices, and I have to say a lot of companies have benefited greatly and seen the results. There's tangible results and outcomes from participating on Lean. Just the links there, that's the first link there is the one that if you log on to that, you'll see all the customs training courses across the country and other information on Brexit as well, and other supports that the LEOs offer. The prepareforbrexit.com, that's the Enterprise Ireland website, an excellent website. You'll see the Ready for Customs grant details there. And Intertrade Ireland, that's the website there for the planning voucher. SkillNet Ireland, if you want to log on and register for one of their online customs training course. Mary mentioned the revenue.ie website. Revenue have a phenomenal amount of information relating to Brexit, understandably. If you haven't registered for your EORI number, absolutely you should do that immediately. And you can find the details there on the Revenue website. Revenue have also been running some excellent webinars. They ran some on the 5th and 6th of October, very detailed. If you haven't been able to access those, you can find the link to those on their website, where, like these webinars, and indeed a lot of webinars by other agencies that are being run continuously, you can gain access to those after the event if you weren't able to log in for them. And the last link there is the Brexit readiness checklist, and that is the most up-to-date checklist from the government, and it gives you all the contact details for all government agencies, business support agencies, and indeed all government departments, and indeed even the Health and Safety Authority, the Board BIA, depending on what sector you're in. It's a very, very useful checklist and contact numbers and email addresses there to kind of assist you and kind of help you navigate through what the next couple of weeks in terms of preparing your business for Brexit. I'm not going to go through all of these because everyone is more than familiar with them, but I just wanted to say that if you are kind of not feel that you're not as prepared as you'd like to be, or you're looking for some support and guidance, you know, whether you contact your local enterprise office or indeed EI if you're working with them, you know, these are all the areas that you need to be looking at, and you need to be able to work your way through all of those in terms of trying to get as much in help and guidance and preparedness as you can, particularly on the customs side, which I think will probably be the most challenging for a lot of businesses who will not have that capacity or capability in-house currently. So trying to get yourself organised for that and get something in place. We're here to help you and assist you in whatever way that we can. I'll leave it there probably, Deirdre, because I know you want to have time for questions. So
okay.
Thank you very much.
Great. Okay. And if you want to stop sharing your screen there as well, Marcella, yeah, perfect. And we'll bring Mary back in if you're still there, Mary, with us.
I am indeed.
Marcella, thanks very much. It was great. It's great to have all those resources, I think, for everybody in the one place. We all know there are so many and some of them are very valuable. So we're definitely advising people to have a look at these slides when we send them out to you tomorrow via email. So look, let's start with some questions. There's been some really good questions coming in through the chat. Now there's one or two that relate to the CE mark, the UK Northern Ireland one. So I'll start with that, Mary, and you might deal with this if you can. So Mark wants to know about the significance of the new CE mark in the UK Northern Ireland from a Republic of Ireland perspective. So maybe begin with that.
Well, just to clarify, as I said in my talk, that the NI mark was brought in to facilitate manufacturers in the Northern Ireland who only wish to trade in Northern Ireland only. So the CE mark is recognised because on the island of Ireland, all the EU rules and regulations apply right through the island. So the CE mark can be used in Northern Ireland and it can be used in the Republic.
Okay. So that
but if a manufacturer in the north wishes to place his product on the south, he has to have the CE mark. He can't use his NI mark. Okay. I hope that answers the question. But if you want further clarity, please come back to us in an email to the Brexit Unit at brexit@nsai.ie, and we will go into it in more detail.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Mary. I think that also covers, Mike McGrath was asking, is the CE UK Northern Ireland mark only required in Northern Ireland?
Yes.
Just to maybe, yes.
Now, it will also be recognised if you're a Northern Ireland manufacturer. It will be recognised in the UK, but not in Ireland. Okay.
Okay.
So it won't be recognised because it's a unique one for Northern Ireland.
Okay. Declan Den is asking, is it necessary for all construction products to be CE marked? That's a good question.
No, the construction products regulation, that mandates is a mandate for most products which have to use harmonised standards. But the newer and innovation products where there's no harmonised standards, they can be CE marked using the European Technical Assessment, ETA. And I would strongly urge that you can go onto our website, but the Department of Housing have an excellent FAQs on their website. So Michael, my colleague last week, talked about that in detail. Those slides are available last week, and just go on to the Department of Housing. They have very, very good questions and answers that are very live at the moment. But
okay.
I hope that answers that question.
We have another question then from Owen Rylands. Can a product carry all three marks, or can it only carry one mark?
Well, if you're in Northern Ireland, you can carry all three marks. If you wish to place your products, it depends on where you're placing your product. So if you're an Irish manufacturer, currently you only have to have the CE mark. But as I said earlier, from January 2022, if you are placing your product on the UK mark, you will have to have dual certification. So you'll have to have the CE mark and the UK CA mark.
Okay, so you have one more year then, essentially.
You have one more year for industrial products, but for medical devices, you have 2.5 years until the 1st of July 2023.
Okay.
So it only applies if you're selling, just to declare, it applies if you're selling. However, it's also important if you're importing, that, and this is something that's very, very important, that a lot of people are not getting with their suppliers because we're inundated with inquiries. So I just want to emphasize this point, that your supplier in the UK heretofore has been a distributor, becomes an importer. he cannot use his current UK notified body unless the manufacturer has gone to an EU 27. So if he wants to place his product on the Irish market from the 1st of January 2021, he must get its files transferred, and like there's 79 days now to Brexit, D-Day, he must get his files transferred to an EU 27. And if you go to the INAB website, you'll see the list of all the notified bodies in the different sectors. If there isn't one here in Ireland, like for example, for the example I gave for masks, there is French manufacturers here. Sorry, there's no Irish manufacturer of medical masks. So more than likely that product would be CE marked abroad by an EU notified body.
Okay, I think you're raising a lot of questions here. Just we'll stay on the CE mark for a moment. John White says it's his understanding that a Northern Ireland manufacturer will require the UK CA mark in order to sell products in England, Scotland and Wales.
Hi, John. I know John is from the BRE. He's on our Network of Notified Bodies Committee. John, it is my understanding that the Northern Ireland mark would be recognised. I will double check, but I'm 95% certain that the Northern Ireland mark will be recognised on the UK market.
Okay, so we've one more kind of CE related. I'm going to deal with that. Simon is asking, where products are being imported from UK for construction works, but arrive in January due to shipping delays or similar, does the CE mark remain valid, assuming UK notified body used by the manufacturer?
Well, the key word here, Dee and Marcella, is placing on the market. Okay, so there's a distinction to be made. If you have an invoice from the 31st of December and the ship leaves the port in the UK and it arrives in Ireland in February 2021, once the product has been placed on the market and you have an invoice, that CE mark is valid. However, if you place your order on the 1st of January, then you have to get that same product CE marked.
Okay. So I suppose there is going to be some leeway for people, maybe just for people who are panicked here today. Will there be leeway, I suppose, in the first couple of months of the year, you know, if people don't have things ironed out, Mary, in terms of that?
Yeah, they really need to get that clarified. In particular, if you're working on a project over a 2 or 3 year period, and this year you're going to have one set of rules and regulations, and next year you're going to have a different set of rules and regulations, and this is very, very important. So in particular, if you have to sign off on a building, and you're a certifier there in the construction sector, you have to ensure that the paperwork that you sign off is current. So Mairead Phelan, I know, hi Mairead, from the Building Control Office, she has a wealth of information on that, and you should consult with them. But certainly you must have, so if you have a structural steel item that is made to EN 1090, which is part of one of the standards in the construction products regulation that must be used, then that product, when it's in its final product, and if it's been signed off next year, and the product is already in Ireland, that's fine. But if the product next year is only arriving next year into Ireland, then that product on the building site will have to be CE marked by an EU 27 notified body.
Okay, I just want to apologize for my Wi-Fi isn't perfect, so I hope I wasn't, there weren't too many gaps there. Marcella, I just want to throw something over to you if you don't mind. You mentioned the EORI number. Some people will be aware. Can you just tell us, I suppose, what it is and why people need to be applying for this from revenue?
Well, the EOI, it's the Economic Operations Registration Identification Number, and that is required by revenue for anyone that's importing or exporting goods. Now, I'm not an expert on it, but certainly that is the very first step that anyone needs to do to communicate with revenue on customs. You need this particular number, and there is a process. It's done online through Ross, so it's extremely important that that number is sought, and that I presume most people will have it at this stage. So, but the number one thing to do is to get that number. Most important, you will need it You would need that identification number. So again, that would be part of the customs training. They would go through that as well, but most people should get onto revenue and get that as soon as possible.
Okay, thanks, Marcella. We have another question actually in from Miriam Lawley. She sends her apologies. You don't have to apologize for anything, Miriam. We have to reiterate everything here. If it was already covered, she says, in previous webinars, existing products bearing the CE mark, for example, a machine that is inspected annually by a UK body, what is the requirement going forward? So this sounds like a you question, Mary. So
it is, and it's one that I can't properly answer. So Miriam, Lolly, if you want to send us an email, I really would suggest that you would get in touch with the HSA on this one, because they cover the machinery directive. It would be worthwhile speaking to them. I know that the HSA this week, I think last week, they covered material on the machinery directive. They are doing Brexit webinars, but I think the question might be best answered by them. I don't fully have the answer, so I'm not going to let on that I do. I just want to reinforce one point that John White made, and my colleague Michael has just texted me, to say, to clarify the point, only Northern Ireland manufacturers can issue the Northern Ireland CE mark. Nobody in the South can. So it's only exclusive if you are in Northern Ireland. And in that case, you can, from Northern Ireland, it will be recognised in the UK.
Okay, and I think that's where we're going to leave it. I hope to all the participants that we've managed to be able to deal with some of your queries this morning. And just obviously to remind you, you will get those slides tomorrow. A recording of this webinar will be on our NSAI website from the 20th of October. In fact, all 4 webinars will be up there then for you to have a look at. And as Mary said, look, if there are any more further detailed questions, please email us at the Brexit section. Mary, you might remind us of that email if you don't mind.
Brexit@nsai.ie.
Thank you. Okay, so I think we'll leave it there for this morning. We're just slightly over our 45 minutes. Thanks everybody for being with us this morning. Marcella, thanks for your contributions, and Mary, thank you for yours. Okay, all the very best. Thank you, folks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.